Chapter 3. The winter air was cold on Melissa's face. She was walking down the street, her father floating along next to her. She hadn't quite gotten used to this, the idea that after 16 years, she was getting to know her dead father. They hadn't yet brought up the subject of telling the rest of their family. Melissa knew her mother had been absolutely devastated when her father died, but she had recovered and regained her strength. Occasionally she lost herself in his memory for a few days at a time, but it was nothing Melissa didn't find strange. She just wasn't sure if her mother would be ready or willing to hear that her youngest daughter can see her father's ghost. As for Melissa's sisters, Jolene was entirely done with school and Amy was in her last year of college. Jolene remembered their father quite well, and Amy always loved hearing stories about him. Her memory of him wasn't quite as strong as Jolene's was. "It's this house," Melissa's father said. His voice came out like a soft wind and it made Melissa shiver, but it was also comforting to listen to. She looked at the house they were approaching. It was tall and neat, a two-tone gray on the front and back. It stood close to the neighboring homes and had a line of dirt for flowers and small bushes next to the steps that led to the front door. Melissa was excited. This would be her third mission for her father and the third collection of money for their family. It would help Jolene pay for her new apartment, and Amy pays for university. Melissa hadn't yet given any of it to her mother, because she wanted to talk to her sisters first and figure out what exactly to say when she asked where they'd gotten so much from. "Okay." Taking a deep breath, Melissa waited a moment to knock. These visits were always emotional in a bittersweet way. She didn't like watching hearts break for good reasons. She rapped her knuckles on the door a couple of times and felt a reassuring hand on her shoulder from behind her. Her father was looking at her warmly, and Melissa couldn't miss the pride in his eyes. "I got this," she told him with a smile, and he retreated as the door opened. Melissa still felt him watching her, though. She turned and greeted the older women who opened the door with shaky hands. "Hi, Mississippi Yarrow?" she asked. "Yes, that's me," she said. Her face was wrinkled by many years of life, and despite the abandonment she suffered, she looked kind and cheerful. "You must be freezing out there, come inside." Gratefully, Melissa did. She looked back at her father one last time before following Miss Yarrow into the kitchen. Melissa remembered gardening with her when she was a little kid. "How are you?" she asked as Miss Yarrow pulled a cup of coffee from the coffee maker. "Getting on as always," she said with a laugh. "Would you like a drink or anything?" "No, thank you." Melissa politely declined before they went into the living room. Every so often, Melissa liked to check up on Miss Yarrow, and they'd have long conversations while gardening. Of course, now it was too cold for that. "I have something to tell you." "Well, go ahead." They both sat down, Miss Yarrow in her rocking chair and Melissa on the couch. Her home had the soft sense of a bakery. "Anthony wanted me to tell you he's sorry for leaving you to live with his fiancée." Miss Yarrow's face went serious. "Anthony is dead." "Yes," Melissa told her, bowing her head. "I know, but I can speak with spirits. My father died, too, right before I was born, but I know him well.